Hi everyone, welcome to chapter 9. I'm sorry for getting this up so late. I am currently considering extending the deadline for the quizzes. I will let you guys know as I finish these lectures up. I've just been really busy with life and everything, and I'm sure you guys can relate. So I try my best to give you guys some leeway. So thank you for kind of giving me some leeway right now. And if I do decide to push back the deadline for the quizzes, I will send out an email about it and let you guys know. But today we're going to go over small groups and teams and how they communicate. Specifically, we're going to go over the difference between small groups and teams and small group dynamics, and that will include roles, norms and rules, power, and cohesiveness. So why do we study communication in a small group context? A lot of research suggests that most executives spend 21 weeks in group meetings, with 6 of those weeks worth of meetings considered a total waste of time. So the argument that the book uses is that it is important to learn how to communicate effectively so that you can be more productive in your job. Obviously, y'all know I'm a bit like anti-capitalist with this in terms of exploiting workers for labor, but that's a whole other conversation. So that's kind of the reasoning behind this. I more so kind of think of it as like most likely you're going to have to work in a group, and it's better to not have to worry about how that works, and you'll have more experience with it. Obviously, group projects sometimes can be challenging, but I think it is a good learning lesson, and I always think they're very interesting, just getting to see multiple people's perspectives kind of come together to make a cohesive project, and that's more fun to think about. So, what is the difference between small groups and teams? So, a small group consists of 3 to 15 people who share a common purpose, feel a sense of belonging together to the group, and exert influence on one another. Versus a team is a coordinated group of people organized to work together to achieve a specific common goal. So there's clearly developed roles and expectations, with methods of collaboration and coordination also detailed. So all teams are small groups, but not all small groups are teams. It kind of just depends on how specialized the group can become in order to complete a specific task. So there's a couple types of groups. So primary groups are like family groups and social groups, and those are pretty straightforward. You know, you have your family, and then you have the people you choose to socialize with. Then secondary groups kind of go into study groups, therapy groups, problem solving groups, focus groups, and so on and so forth. And so the book details Fisher's 4 phases of group and talk development, and this is basically the kind of way that group talk can develop. So there's the orientation phase, and this is the primary tension where group members are getting to meet each other. Then there is the conflict phase, which is the secondary tension, and from that can go into the emergence phase and the reinforcement phase. And I would recommend going to the book to learn more about this, just because it explains it and gives a lot of really good examples to really drive in the different phases. So what are group roles? Awesome. Sorry, I had to add that. So there's 3 main types of roles, and roles are just the consistent ways a person communicates with others in their small group. And so there's 3 main ones: task roles, social roles, and individual roles. Task roles focus on obviously completing the task at hand and achieving the group's goals. Social roles help members manage relationships and the group climate. So this is kind of the person who is ensuring that everyone's having like a good time and is able to collaborate efficiently. And then individual roles is a role that focuses attention on the self rather than the group. And so what are some examples of the various types of group roles? So there is a gatekeeper, and that's going to be a again. So a gatekeeper is a social role, a recorder is a task role, and a blocker is an individual role. In order to understand exactly what a gatekeeper, recorder, and blocker is, I would recommend going to the textbook in chapters 9 and 10. They both give examples and discuss these concepts. So what are group norms and rules? So norms are standards that determine what is appropriate and inappropriate behavior in a group. So what is normal? Is it meant to be informal, not documented? These kind of emerge from group processes, and it will look different for each group. So some groups will be able to communicate via text, but other groups that is not going to be the traditional way of how you would communicate with someone. For example, say you in your group project, you all make a group chat, so all of the group members can work together. You wouldn't message someone directly and start like talking about the group project traditionally if you had already set up that the group text was meant to be where all of that stuff was communicated. So they are also people generated, and then rules are documents and formal standards. And so that's going to be the example where it's more established, versus norms are just kind of those unsaid spoken rules. And so what is power? Interpersonal power is our ability to influence others' behaviors. And there's 5 main types. So there's legitimate power, which is the book describes as power that is given via election or nominated ways. Reward power is being able to give rewards in return for doing certain tasks. Coercive is convincing them to. Expert power is having typically like knowledge or status in influencing others. And then referent power is power the referent power is power that is stemmed from being liked from your peers or your colleagues or whatever it is. It kind of plays into that social task roles. So what is group cohesiveness? Cohesiveness is the degree of attraction that members feel in a group towards one another and the group. Highly cohesive groups are more open and they handle disagreement better, and they usually end up performing better because they all trust each other to an extent. And so the book kind of shows this design to showcase how the level of cohesiveness meets at the highest point for decision-making quality, and what can happen is groupthink can make the level of cohesiveness too high to where no one is able to disagree and continue making decisions. So say, for example, you're working on a group project with your friend and you don't really like what they're suggesting to do for the project. Sometimes you may be unlikely to bring that up if you don't think it's a good idea because you like them so much. For example, that's kind of how groupthink works, because it is an unintended outcome of cohesion in which the desire for cohesion and agreement takes precedence over critical analysis. So groupthink can occur when members feel apathetic, so that's when they don't care about the project, so they won't speak up, or members expect a lack of success, so if they know they're already not going to do well, they're not going to put as much effort. One member is highly credible, so that basically has one member of the group dominating the project, or persuasive, and so they get to make all of the decisions by encouraging their choices, or when members fail to challenge ideas. So an example question is going to be, which of these reflects legitimate power? So she influences me because she's competent, because I like and respect her, because she's the boss, or because she can give me something I want. Obviously, it's not going to be I like and respect her because that's referent power. It's not going to be because she can give me something I want, because that is coercive power. So you're stuck between competent and the boss. But when you remember legitimate, it has to be with, it has to do with like layers of positions and being elected or being placed above someone. And so the answer would be C, because she's the boss, because it is her job to delegate the workers. And so as you kind of move throughout this, it's important to be aware of the 5 principles for your group project, because you have to be aware of your verbal and nonverbal communication while listening and responding, and adapting your communication both within yourself and with your group mates. And so some strategies to enhance group cohesion, going back to those principles, is using we instead of I, which can encourage the mentality that, you know, this is a cohesive group. We are connected together in some way. We are we. It's not just a bunch of I's coming together. Reinforce good attendance at group meetings. So encourage and try to get everyone to show up to as many meetings as you can so everyone is on the same page. Create and maintain traditions. So say, for example, if everyone ends up being free on a Thursday at 5 p.m., you continue to meet at that time to establish that routine. And then establish short and long-term goals. What do you need to do short term? What is the end goal? And then encourage everyone to participate. Don't have one member doing all the work and then other ones are not. It should be a roughly even kind of participation per student. And then celebrate when you guys do something good. You know, pat each other on the back, give each other praise. And then going back to, can a group be too cohesive? So that's just kind of make sure that, yes, celebrate and enjoy each other in this group project, but also, like I mentioned with the graph before, too much group cohesion can end up backfiring. So it's all about balance. And I hope that you guys enjoyed this chapter 9 quiz. Throughout the time that I recorded this, I decided I'm going to go ahead and extend the, my desk is a mess, but I'm going to extend the quiz deadlines. I'm going to extend the one for chapter 9 to, sorry about that. So I know it's due Sunday. I'm going to end up extending chapter 9 until the 10th. And then for chapter 10, I'll let you guys know once I record that chapter, but just so that way you guys have more time to sit and digest on the material. And since it grades it automatically, I don't have to go back and grade it. So that really helps me in terms of getting things back to you guys. So yes, I will also send this out for in an email. But if you watch this first, you'll already know. Awesome. And I hope you guys enjoyed this lecture. Sorry it wasn't as in-depth. Some of you may know, just my life is very hectic right now. And so I really appreciate you all being so patient with me getting these lectures up this week. And I hope that you all have a great rest of November.